Hello everyone and welcome to another episode with me, Babatani. In today's video, we want to look at Angular CRUD. That is, we are building an application using the create, read, update, and delete. So this is the application we will be building in this course. Let me just give you a run through of what this does. So we have this application here. You can see we have a list of books that we've created, and you can update each of the books. For example, I want to update this to JSON-Server and the country is Liberia, and I click update, so you get updated. All right, and then it takes you to the list of all of the books. You can see the updated book here. You can also delete a book. I'm going to click on this to delete a book, and you get this beautiful toast message that says deleted successfully. You can also add a book, and you can lend a book. So we'll be doing all of this in this course. So without further ado, let's dive right in. Okay, so here I have an Angular application that I just created using the Angular CLI command, that is ng-new, then the name of the application, and it created this. And this is what it looks like here. Nothing fancy. So first off, we are going to create our own database using JSON-Server, and then we are going to install the NGX toast library that we saw earlier on. So let's do that quickly. So to install the JSON-Server, I'm going to do npm I JSON-Server, and that gets installed. Right. So let's install the NGX toast. Alrighty. So we have our JSON-Server installed, and we also have the NGX toast installed. So let's set up our JSON-Server. To do that, I'm going to create a file in the root folder. I'm going to call this books.json, like that, and then I'm going to create the schema for this application. So let's do, we have posts, and it is an array of objects, right? So an array of objects. So the first object, so let's create one. We're going to have author, the author of the book, and let's call this Chimamanda Adichie. I got the spelling right. And then the country, and that would be Nigeria. All right, and then the language. The language is English. Sorry about the fan of my MacBook Pro. I'm still using a MacBook Pro 2018. Maybe one day when I become so successful, I'm going to get myself maybe M2 or M3, depending on whatever it's available at the time. Right, just kidding. So the title of this book is, let's call this Half of a Yellow Sun. Beautiful book, by the way. And the year, I'm just gonna put a random here. So let's say 2022 or 2019, whatever. Right, so the ID, it's going to be 1. All right, so this looks good. Okay, so let's create another for lend. Actually, just gonna copy this. The lend. I'm gonna copy this post and paste it right here for the lend. And I'm going to call this lend. The ID is going to be 1. right? And then the name, who is lending this book, John Priyat or Priya, let's use Priya. Duplicate object key, I know. Book title, call this my book. Page, book author, we call this author Babatunde. Then the title, lending date. Lending date is going to be a string, and the return date is going to be a string as well. String. Going to remove this. All right, so we are done with our schema. Let's see if we have any errors. No errors. Okay, so let's move on to the next thing, which is to create all of our components. You can see in this application here we have a component that lists all of our books. We have a component to add a book, we have a component to lend a book, and we have a component to update a book. All right, so let's go over to our application here and add all of the components that we're going to need. And these components are going to be standalone, by the way. So I'm going to create ngC, remember our standalone API. So ngC, I'm going to call this book and add the standalone flag to it. Okay, so what I want to do is in this book I want to add another component, all of the components basically. So I'm going to come over here, open in integrated terminal. That is, I want to create another component in the book. So we're going to call this ngC add book, and it's going to be a standalone as well. After that, we are going to create another component. We're going to call the component lend. So let's create another component. Let's call it lend. All right, one more, create another component. We are going to call this update book. Update dash book. Okay, we are done with all of the components. All right, so let's go over to our book, which is right here. Okay, you can see it as the standalone flag turned on for the book. So what we want to do is we want to import all of our components inside this book component. So come right here and the imports. Okay, I'll come right here in the import, and I'm going to import, first of all, I'm going to import add book. Just type add book. Okay, that's the first one. The second one, remember, lend book or lend component, that's this component. Then update book component. All right, so we have our component imported here in our book components. Okay, so let me go back, right, clear my console, my terminal. All right, so we're also going to need a service. Okay, we're going to need a service, and actually I'm going to open this. We're going to create our service inside the book component. All right, so ng, then s for service. We are going to call this book. So that's the name of the service, and we have our service right here. All right, so in our service, what we want to do is we want to call our JSON schema. The JSON schema we created right here, we want to call it, And first off, I'm going to do data. Normally this should be inside your environment variables, but because we just doing this right here, so I'm going to call this http localhost, all right, 3000 /posts. This is me making our API call. Normally your API call should be in your environment variables, all right? So your environment variables like staging environment or production environment, okay? Right. Then we have the other one, which is length. So that you have the other one, which is length. So http local host 3000 and length. Okay, so let's go ahead and inject the HTTP client. All right, so to inject the HTTP client, we do private HTTP and we call the HTTP client. Where are you? We're going to import HTTP client, and that is from @Angular /common/http. All right, now our error is gone. Okay, so let's do a couple of API calls here. The first thing we need to do right here is our update book. So we need a call for update book, and to update the book we need the ID, and the ID can be any or a string, and we also need the input or the payload for it. Okay, so to do that we're going to return this.http, and then we're going to call patch, and then we are going to call our URL. So, and this is this.data, and then slash ID. Okay, and we're going to pass in the input. That's for update book. Second one is to get books. Okay, to get books, write our method get book, and we're going to treat this as an observable. Sorry about that. Autocomplete, misbehaving, and it's supposed to behave. All right, so take any. Right, so we are going to return this.http.get, and I think at this point I should just copy this guy, this.data, and that's it for that, for get books. There we need to get a book. To get a book we need the ID of the book. ID can be string. All right, it can also be an observable. Let's make it an observable of type any, and we are going to return this.http.what.get. You guessed it right, .get, and we are going to call our this.data slash ID. All right, that's for get book, and we need to delete book. So at this point just copy this and paste it here. So call this delete book. Right, we're also taking the string, ID of string, observable any, and we call this delete, and that's that for that. We need another, which is lend book, and to lend the book we are going to do a post. So we are posting type any and we don't need this. We need to change this actually to length, and then we are taking the input. Okay, so length book should be inputs. The dangers of copying and pasting. Last but not the least, we need another call for posting a book. So post book, input post any, then we'll change this to data. Okay, so we are done with our API call. Oops, that was a long one. All right, so let's move on to styles. Let's style this application. Currently, right now, we still have this guy running. So let's clear this and borrow a couple of styles. You can see this background here. I borrowed it. You can see the background is right here. So I'm going to borrow this. Okay, let's go to our app.component. And I'm going to clear everything here. I'm going to clear everything here. All right here. Okay, let's also look at the styles. Copy a couple of styles here from Angular. You know, our app component of CSS, paste it right here. Right, and we are done with that. So let's check it out first. Okay, looks good. So we have this right here, looking good. All right, let's look at what we have here. Right here we have our style for the app component of CSS, just normal styles. All right, so let's go and add like a couple of global styles in our styles.css. Okay, first off, I want to add for cursor, console pointer. Then I'm going to do form control. We're going to use Bootstrap, by the way. Just laying this down now. Border color, inherit. Okay. And box shadow, we do none. Then for form control, alright, then we also do for the form control group, then the margin, this label, then the margin bottom is 8 pixels, then margin top is 8 pixels as well. Okay, so let's add our Bootstrap link. Okay, so come over here to the index.html right here, and we have a link from Bootstrap here in the head tag. Okay, just paste this right here, and we also need our script, and that would be in the body, just underneath the body tag, right above the closing body tag. Okay, so we have our Bootstrap there. Okay, so this looks good. So let's change this title to Booker 23. Okay, that looks nice. Let's see what we have here. Okay, still good. Now let's go over to our book component, and what we have here in the book component is, you can see we have this title here and this search button, and we have the add the book, learn the book, and we have the table for the books. Okay, so our book component over right here, nothing here at the moment, so we are going to start building. All right, so let's have a class. My PC is slow today. What could be the problem? So we div class, and we call this row. Give it a class of row, and then we are going to have this right here. So we're going to have a call md-10. I really use Bootstrap, by the way. Lately I have been building my own styles from scratch. I remember starting out, I was so much in love with Bootstrap, but yeah, Bootstrap is still nice, but writing your own CSS and style is more nicer, by the way. Right, so I know there's another one here called Tailwind, and I use Tailwind sometimes, but like I said, lately I've been building applications. I'm using my own styles, you know, from the ground up. I think because it's just fun. So improve your mind, and we need that emoji. Can I get the emoji somewhere? Yes, have it right here. All right, so we have our header. Let's look at how it looks. Header is not showing. Okay, let's see what the problem is. Let's go to our route. Okay, we need to add a couple of routes here, and we need to add a couple of routes. Okay, so let's start with the path for the page itself. So, and it's going to be the component book component. We're going to make this path match prefix. All right, and let's also add all of the, since we are here, let's just add all of the routes then. Okay, so we're going to do path for add a book, and we're going to call this add dash book, and component, the component for this is the add book component. All right, so I'm going to copy this just because I love to copy and paste. Then we do update book for this. Update, but we are taking the ID. All right, and we are calling the update book component. All right, copy this again. Remember your comma here, and we are going to call this length. So call this length, and we are attributing the length component to this. Okay, I think we are good on this front. And we also need to import the book component here. All right, so let's see how it goes. Okay, so we have improve your mind. Okay, looks good. So let's continue with that. We have the Steve here. So what we want to do is we want to have another div, and I'm going to take flex, justify content between, and margin bottom is 5. And what is this for? This is for our inputs, search input tag. Okay, this takes a class of form-control, and the placeholder is search booker. Such a weird name. If you have a better name, please drop it in the comments below. Okay, we're going to set our autocomplete to be off. Autocomplete off. Right, that works. Now we need another for our buttons. I'm going to use the A tag and router link. You're going to have an error, but I'm going to explain why. Okay, so we have this router link. We don't need this active property, and we need a button, and the class, we need the button, and the class is going to be btn success, and this is going to be add a book. Right, so let's have another one here. Let's copy this and just paste this right here. So this is going to be Ctrl Z, please, lend a book. Okay, this should be add a book as well. And for the lend a book, we are going to call the route lend a book. So we have this error right here because we have not imported the router module. Okay, I'm going to close all of this and open right here. So we need to import the router module in our book.ts. Right, so to do that, I'm just going to type router module, hoping that autocomplete does it work. And if I come right here, the error is gone. Okay, so we have this 2 right here, and let's keep going. Okay, so for this, it's going to be class of btn warning, and we're going to add another class here. That's padding of 2. Okay, right here looks good. Okay, so let's add our table now. All right, let's add our table. So for our table, we are going to do a div and style. We're going to just overflow x, and it's going to be auto. Then let's bring in our table here. So for the table, we have a class called table, and we have the table head, which is called t-head for short, and we're going to have our rows. Okay, just going to copy this guy right here and paste it here. Okay, all right, so we also need the body. Okay, just right after the head. So t body, and ideally we're going to be looping through, the books to get the books and then display, all right, using our ng4 directive. Okay, let's see, this is how it looks like now. Okay, let's go to our component.ts and let's consume our API. Okay, so let's create variable. I'm going to call this variable books, and it is of type any, and I'm going to create like a constructor here where we are going to inject the services that we just created. Okay, hope you're enjoying this tutorial, by the way. I hope it's not too long. Private book, and we're going to call our book service Okay, actually we need to provide our book service here. So providers, book service, what we created. All right, so that's good. So we are injecting our book service. So we are saying, oh, we cannot create this method or function on our own. Let us, call this method or function from another class or another component. So we are depending on it. Right, so dependency injection in a nutshell. Okay, so ng on it. We need our ng on it here. And so first off, we need to okay, that's fine. We need to call our get all books here. Okay, so let's create a method for get all books. Okay, to get all books, we are going to call this .book dot get books, all right, from our service class. Then we are going to subscribe to it, and the response that we get, the response that we get, we are going to bind the response to this .books res. Okay, since we are here, let's create that for onDelete as well. So onDelete, we are taking the ID and we are calling this .book delete book, and the ID dot subscribe, the response, and let's call our toast message. Okay, let's also call our toast message. Let's add our toast message to the constructor. Private toast R, and it's from toast autocomplete. Where are you? Toast service. Okay, good, looking good. Okay, so once this is successful, what you want to do is this .toast dot, we are going to call the success method, and a message that says deleted successfully. And we also want to do a timeout. So once it's deleted successfully, it's going to route to the home page, or in this case the books page that has all of the books, the location.reload. Also, when we update, we are going to be routing to the update page. So on updates, On update, we are taking the ID any, and this dot router, let's call our router, let's inject the router here. So private router, what we are calling is the router. Okay, want to complete to the rescue. Yes, router. Cool. So cool. This dot router dot navigate. Okay, navigate, and what we are simply doing is we are navigating to this URL /update /ID. Okay, all right, so let's get back to our book component, and let's get the books and display on the screen for our table. So to do that, I'm going to do like a row. Okay, in this row we are going to do our ng4 and let book of books, in this case books, let id or let I is equals to index. Okay, something like that. And inside our row we're going to have the headers, so th, so this is the scope, is a row, and this takes in the book dot id. Okay, so I'm going to copy this and paste for the others. Okay, so for the others, so author, book.author, and country, and pages, and title, and here. Okay, I think that's all for now. Let's take this out. So we have the author, we have the country, we have the pages, we have the title, and we also have the here. So let's add our buttons. So row, so this is going to be td for table data, quickly. Let's do this, yep. Okay, so let's add one more for our buttons, td, and td is going to take a class of td button, and you're going to have a div as well. So this class of btn-group, and the role of this is a group. This is just Bootstrap, and in this group we're going to have a button. The type is a button, and the class is button dash outline, dash success and btn small. Okay, remember the function we created. So on update should route to the update component on updates, and we are taking what book.id. The book.id is coming from this book here. Okay, all right, so we're going to call this guy update. So let's copy and paste, build one, copy and paste for the others. So we're going to call this delete. All right, and we're going to call this on delete. Remember we created the on delete. I think it's on delete. It also takes a book.id. Then so we have the outline. Then this should be danger and small, and then we are going to have like margin right. Let's be true. Let's add our HTTP client in the app.module. So we need to add our HTTP client here. So import, and we also need to add our toast module in the root. Right, we also need to add the browser animation. Browser animations module. It's going to be platform browser / animations. Nice. Okay, let's run our server. Do we do this? npm run start server. Right, so let's refresh this. Nice. So we have our book, the first book that we created, and we have it right here. And so let's go to the delete or update rather. Let's go to the update. Okay, so we're going to create a class as usual, class of container. Let's be fast as possible. Container, and in our container we want to have a class of row. And we're going to have a co-md-4, and also let's cater for large screen and offset space on both sides, md4. And we also have to do like a call for small size as well. For small size going to be 12, and for the margin bottom we are taking 5. Nice. Then let's add our form here. For our form, because form group, take this away. For our form group, we're going to call this guy form data. That's the name of the group. Form data, and don't worry about that error, we're going to fix it in a bit. And the role of this guy is the form, and we are using ng-submit on submit form data. That's this form data right here, dot value. Okay, that's what you are returning for us. Okay, and let's start with our title. So call this, give it a class of form-group mb3, and we're taking h2 of update a book. Okay, update a book. In the book, so what we're going to have next is div, and this div is going to take a class of form group, and the margin bottom of 3, and what we have here is the label, and which is for the author. Then just going to do one and copy the rest. Input of type text, then we're going to have like a form control name, and the control is author, and the class is form dash control. Okay, let's copy this and paste for the others. So this one is going to be country. All right, country, and this is country. Okay, no need for the margin bottom. All right, so let's for the others. So next one is language, and language. All right, and the next one is pages, okay, under type number, and we have pages. Okay, and the next one again is title, and this is a text, type text, and this one is title, form control. Okay, right, so the next one is year. Okay, here, and this is a text, and form control name is year, and that. Okay, so let's add the button. Okay, button of the class, you're taking margin top should be 2. Right, and the button itself should be of type submit, then the class should be button, then button success, button success, and we want to disable this guy when it is loading. Disabled when loading is loading. Okay, so that's what I want to do, the updates. Okay, all right, so let's go to our update component.ts, update book.ts. So for this guy, we want to first of all introduce or import the reactive forms module. That takes away the error we had earlier on. And so let's dive right in. So let's create a form group. Okay, and we have is loading, set that to be boolean. Then we also have books. We are going to be making a call. Okay, TypeScript, and then we do any for this. Okay, so let's go to our constructor. So constructor, our constructor, we do private builder. We are calling our form builder. We also need to call our toast. All right, so let's create our own ng on init. All right, so this dot route dot paramap, we want to subscribe to it and get the data. So params, and we want to say this dot id equals to params dot get id. Okay, and whatever we are getting, we're getting the id. We want to pass that id to our get book, this dot id, and subscribe to it. Okay, and we are going to bind this dot book to whatever we are getting. Furthermore, we are also going to bind it to our form data dot patch value, and this dot update form value, creating that in a second. Update form values is a method. Okay, actually I can do this const id and then call id here. All right, okay, so let's create. Okay, we have this. So let's create our form data. So this dot form data equals to this dot builder dot group. Right, so we have the author and the author new form control. Okay, new form control. So let's copy this and paste for everything. So here country, here language, pages, title, and one more, year, writing. Okay, so let's create our onSubmit function. Okay, so first off, we are getting form data of any from our form, and we are saying this dot update book. This book, that's from our service, dot update book from our service, and we are passing this dot id, and we are passing this form data, and we are subscribing, and we are getting the results. Okay, so I'm just going to this dot toastr dot success and message updated successfully, and we are going to do a set timeout of 2 seconds. I said 2000. Location dot href basically is equals to the home page, right, which contains all of the books we've created. Nice. So one last method, update form values. So I want to update the form values that we are getting from our route, and this is going to return this guy is right here. So we'll do for one, then paste for the others. So author, so this dot book, this dot book, this dot book dot author. All right, so copy this. All right, so here is going to be country, here is going to be language, here is going to be pages, here is going to be title, here is going to be year. Yep, so that's that for that. So let's come over here and change this country, language, pages. Let's go. Title. If you are following along, don't give up yet. Keep typing, then page. All right. So essentially what we're doing is, remember we created a route called update id, which is dynamic, right here. So whatever id is being passed to this update slash id in our update component, what we want to do is we're going to subscribe to the param map, get the id, then pass the id to our get book from our book service. Whatever we get in the response, we append it to this dot book, and then immediately we call this form dot patch values and this update values. Now for this update form values, we are appending the result from the book object we've gotten to our to match our this form data. All right, everyone, so this is our application, and we have the update working fine, and you can update a particular book, you can update the country and do whatever it is you want to do. Let me change this here to 2020. Click update updated successfully, and it writes you back to the home page. Right, so in the next tutorial we're going to look at lending a book. We've not done anything here, and we are going to add a little bit of search functionality to this application. But currently our add book works, and our updates we can also delete, and all of that our delete functionality is also working fine. That's it, everyone. The tutorial was already getting too long. I had to shorten it, and we're going to continue in the next one. All right, if you like this tutorial, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel. And make sure you drop your comments in the comment section below. Let me know if you found this very useful. All right, until next time, keep learning. Bye for now.